Perfect. And the second thing I want to do is I want to share my screen with you. So let's share the screen. Let me know if you can see it. Perfect. So it seems like you got this free design consultation via Twitter. Is that right? Perfect. So tell me a little bit more about yourself. Are you a developer or? Uh, mhm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Perfect. That makes sense. Awesome. So yeah. So today we're gonna have your design consultation, and my name is Arturo. I am the guy here on the left. The guy on the right is actually my brother who lives in Mexico City, and we work together. I live in Seattle. I live in the United States, and I've been here for about 8 years. I used to work for Microsoft for almost 7 years, and I was always involved with design. I was mostly a design evangelist, and my last job there was being a user experience designer in the Windows Phone design studio. So it was a kind of a fun adventure there, but that's why we are working now with Nokia and Microsoft to help developers create better applications. So we focus 100% on design and user experience. We don't really do a lot of code. It's mostly design. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna take a look at this this map that we have on the screen right here, and this map is something that my brother produced. And what he did is he spent about an hour playing with your application and getting screenshots of your entire application to get a feel for how your application works and how it looks today. And so this is something we call an application flow map, and we're going to use this to review your application at the high level and the micro level as well. Okay, so at any point, obviously, this is just a conversation, so feel free to stop me at any time and give me ideas or tell me what you prefer, because you know your application better than anyone else. So we want to make sure that whatever design we propose to you is something that addresses your vision for your app. Okay, perfect. So the first thing that we can take a look at is your tile, which is a representation of your brand, right? And this brand is, so tell me something. Are there other applications in the marketplace, in the store, that you would consider do something very similar or are competition to what you do, or not really? Not really. What are the common terms? What's the terminology or the words that people use to look for your application when on their phone or on the website? What would you say it is? Let's see. Let's see what we get with music chart. So we get a few highlighted applications, but then we get a few more. So maybe yours will show up here. Here it is actually. So that's good. It's good because it seems like then it's being exposed to the world. And how many downloads have you had of your application? So about 1,000. Perfect. So what does RYM stands for? So if I go to rate your music, will it take me there? It's this one. This one here. Interesting. Okay. So they provide all their information in some sort of a web service or RSS or something like that. Oh, okay. Got it. So, well, one of the things that I can see here, if you notice some of the applications that show up at the top, I am not entirely sure how these show up at the top versus some other ones. I don't know if it's based on the amount of downloads. I need to investigate that actually. But one of the things that I see here when I scroll down here is that I see a lot of visual competition for different tiles and different applications. Like every tile seems very different. Every tile is kind of screaming for attention, and everyone is kind of loud, right? This is Billboard, which of course is very popular. So when I get to yours, I feel like it kind of dissolves a little bit into all this noise of all these other tiles. So let's try to see if we can find a way to make your tile, your brand, stand out a little bit more, so that when people scroll down there, people recognize that this is your app and that it stands out visually. So I'm gonna take a screenshot of this screen of the browser. I'm gonna paste it here, make it small, and I'm gonna cut it somewhere around here, more or less. Doesn't have to be precise. And I'm gonna go back to expression design, and I'm gonna paste it here. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to start creating a tile, and let's see what we can do to enhance your tile. So one of the things that I noticed is that your tile has to communicate the fact that this is about RIM, right? Rate your music, and it's about charts. Obviously, this music symbol communicates the idea that this is about music. So I think that's an interesting idea. That's a good idea that we could try to respect. We also have this background with some kind of texture, a little bit. So one of the things that I would definitely recommend to make this much cleaner and easier to read against all these other tiles that are here is to try to use a flat background with a simple color. So imagine that we go for something like this. Okay. Now, the other thing I personally like, and this is up to you, but I personally like a lot, is that for things like my brand, I want my brand to be kind of punchy and very out there and strong. And so the only problem that I have with this color that I have here is that it's kind of neutral. It's a little bit grayish, a little bit like it needs more power. So what I would usually do is, if you look at the top right side of my screen, I'm moving my color picker to the right, and I'm making the color a little bit more intense. So now, is there a particular reason why you chose blue, or it's just something you liked? Oh, interesting. Let's go to it again. So it's this one right here. Would you say they have a logo? Like, is this kind of what they recognize as their logo? Where is that one? Oh, this one here. Oh, this one here. Oh, so that's where you got the idea from. Okay. So interesting. I am not. I guess I have to say I'm not a fan of the colors they're using, but I understand, of course, that you want to try to make people feel familiar with the environment. So let's see what we could do. Maybe you even end up influencing their brand and their direction. Hopefully. Yes, because I think they do need a hand. The website doesn't feel like they have a lot of a strong brand. So yeah, right now you're using the right color, which is this one, and then you're using this kind of brown color over here. So if we bring this kind of little bit of a brown color, and then you have a little bit of black. So what I'm doing is I'm just extracting the colors here. And yeah, my problem with these colors is that they are so like neutral. I feel like they lack strength. So that said, let's see how we can adhere this a little bit more to their tone, the tones that they have. Like one of the things that I noticed is that they have this almost like purplish looking tone. And then they have this one, and this one I would dare to make it a little bit more intense. That's probably way more intense. So these are options again. The thing that worries me about these two colors over here, these two, is that I don't know. They almost feel like these would be the color of a shirt that I would use, like a you know, like if I went to a business suit shirt. Let me see if something shows up. You know, it's more like I'm dressing very formally to go to the office or something like that. It's not like it's fun and something cool. So this is an interesting challenge because on one hand, I totally see why you want to adhere to them, but on the other hand, I think their branding honestly currently sucks. It's really bad. So I would propose that maybe you might want to be a little bit more aggressive at this and maybe try to do something a little bit more interesting perhaps. Let's take these couple colors and just increase their saturation. So let's bring this a little bit higher and this one also a little bit higher. And see, the thing, I don't like that color again because it looks like mustard color or something like that. I don't know. We could play with that for a little bit, but let's pretend that we leave it there. The other thing that I see they have interesting here is this star, right? That's kind of interesting. So what if we try to reproduce that? So let's do rim, and let's put a star over here. Now this star doesn't look like this one. This one looks a little bit cleaner. Let's see if I move over to Helvetica. This is a little bit more like it. Even Arial. Seems to be something very blocky. How about a Swiss? Let's see how Swiss would look like. Yeah, not too bad. So I'm going to convert this to a pad, and I'm probably going to change this a little bit, just so that these lines are straight. Somewhere there. And it looks more like their star. And again, I wouldn't say they have the best branding, so I think we can take the liberty of pushing it forward a little bit more. So let's use Helvetica, which I think looks cool here, and you will find that I use Helvetica very much. So what I'm doing right now is I'm tracking the character. So you know how this character, the separation here is very small, and this separation here is bigger, right? So yeah, what I want to do is I want to fix that tracking and that kerning to make this a little bit tighter. So let's make this a little bit tighter, somewhere like there. We have rim. Now we could compose a few things. I'm going to drag a guideline here. I don't know if you can see that blue line. And then here. And so that will give us an idea for where we can position this. Because, we could randomly place it anywhere where we want it, but I think it's always a better idea to actually try to go ahead and try to make it fit in a particular structure. So if we put it like this, we could have this corner be here in this line. That's another option. Let's see what are they doing. Again, they're not necessarily doing anything purposeful there. The other one would be here. So we could try actually many of them and see which one we like the most. But I think with this, you're even helping them design your logo. This would be another one. I don't know. I don't dislike this one actually. Yeah. So let's group these two things over here, and let's bring that into what could be the tile here. Okay. So I think that by itself already looks cleaner, obviously much cleaner. And I think this, if I were to apply this same thing over here, you know what? It has potential. Now that I see it like this, I don't dislike it that much. Maybe I would make it a little bit darker, but I don't dislike it as much now that I see it like this. I kind of like it actually. That I don't like. But yeah, in white, I think I don't dislike it that much. Let's see how this looks if we put it here. Now, sure, they are using this music symbol, and let's see if we can incorporate that, or maybe we just leave it clean like that. Because how do people know this site? Do people know this site as RIM or as Rate Your Music? What do you think people are more familiar with? Rate Your Music. So, IRN. Okay. So I don't know. I kind of like this, to be honest. I think it's kind of clean, and even without the music symbol, it's more like a brand that people care about. I think it's a little bit more interesting. So I'm just thinking if we did something like this. I'm almost thinking of this like a little poster. That's usually the way that I try to think of for tiles. So it's almost like a little poster. And then this one could be here. And this one here. I think this looks kind of interesting. Just looks more like, imagine that this was a TV channel or a radio station where you had, a cool brand like MTV or something like that. I can think of this kind of looking more interesting. Maybe you can even send these guys this idea and see what they think about it. Maybe you even help them change their brand. See, I don't know. I feel like that looks clean. That looks kind of cool. It looks interesting, even without the music symbol. Also, the cool thing about something like this would be that once we take this into your small tile, like this one here, it's going to be easier to read because it's going to be small, but people are going to be able to tell what this tile is for. See, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if we love the fact that we have these 4 bands of colors. Maybe we just have 2, but again, it would be an interesting thing. Also, with this one over here, the big one, which is the double size, maybe we can do something like this. And let me ungroup. I wonder if this should be like this. That looks interesting. Of course, it looks bigger because I'm editing the tile, so that looks a little different. But it could be like that, or it could be like this. It could just be like this. Maybe what we do is we simply make a copy of these elements. I actually don't love that. It looks kind of repetitive. It looks a little bit too noisy, right? Yeah, I don't love it. So let's put a little X. here. Oops. Okay, so not this one. Okay, so we have a good idea there in terms of color. Then we get to number 2, which is the main screen. It's this one over here. And so we scrap the website, and we basically present the information here, right? You have an interesting filter control up here, which is not very common in Windows Phone, but I think I love it. I love the fact that you are trying to do your own control and your own user interface there. I think that it's something we need to defend. What happens if you hit this arrow? Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's try to see if we can redesign this screen. Let's put it, I'm gonna put it over here. I don't know where, here. And let's make it 1280 by 768. And then let's start bringing some of your brand over here. So let's first bring this guy over here, and let's see how we integrate that. Let's also add some basic songs here. So I'm just gonna use some Lorem Ipsum, or maybe I can actually use some of these songs over here just to make it a little bit faster. So let's go to charts and see if we find something. So what information are you using? The name of the song and the artist? Okay. So the artist, I guess, would be OK Computer. Or no, that's the name of the song. Yeah, of course, because Radiohead. Okay. So it's going to take me just a few seconds, but it's always useful to have some actual information because it helps you compose your user interface better. So let's do the Beatles. Could be anything. I know. Yeah, Led Zeppelin. So these are like all-time favorites, it seems like, right? Okay, so we have 4 here. We could probably get a couple more. How many are you presenting right now? 5, right? Up to 100, right? Okay, so let's paste just a couple more to make sure we have enough samples. 1 and this one. And I think with this we have 6 of them, right? I'll do one last one because I have a feeling we're going to have space. Maybe not. So Bob Dylan, and it's going to be this one here. Okay, that should be enough. So we have these 2 guys over here. I'll just put them anywhere. We'll format them in a moment. Just like here. Okay, and then we have your controls. So for your controls, we have these 4 buttons. And you know what? One of the things that I didn't understand was this arrow. I thought this arrow was something that would help you, like maybe this was like a carousel. But it's not, right? So like a reload, exactly, like an update my filters or something like that. So one thing we could try doing would be, let's move Bob Dylan down here, and let's make this 150 pixels by 150. One thing that I will try to get rid of are these separations here, or maybe at least reduce them. Maybe make them smaller. So let me see how much separation I can give here. Edit, options, units and grids, notch increment, let's say 10. Let's move this only 10 pixels. So 10 is a little bit tighter. I think I like that more. So that's only 4 buttons. I kind of want to fit this 5th one as well. So maybe we need to make these 120 pixels. I would have preferred to make those bigger, but I don't think we can make them fit. So let's go here, and we can definitely fit another one. In fact, we could have probably even make this a little bit bigger. And that's the way sometimes you have to be playing with it until you get to the right number. So let's position this one there, this one here, and finally this one here. Now, for this arrow, or for these icons, one thing I'll use is I will open my icons file. I have an icons file here, and I'm gonna copy paste some icons that you can then use. So it's this one's here. Okay, so let's see. I also, in the meantime, I don't know if you're familiar with modernUIicons.com. Exactly. Yeah. To me, this is the very best collection of symbols of icons for Windows and Windows Phone. So, is this where you got your music icon from? Somewhere else. Okay. So I downloaded this library already. So I have these guys here. So if I go here to music, it should show up. Okay, here it is. Okay, so there's one. There it goes. The other one is the arrow. I think we're going to need the arrow, which is a typical arrow, like a go arrow that we use in Windows Phone. Then we have the filter, and what else we had there? Oh, like a music sheet, or the lyrics, right, or something like that. So we have a filter here, which is a little bit different from yours, but that's fine. I mean, you can always use yours. The one that you have is actually a good one. I like it. In fact, I like what you have in yours, which is it goes a little bit more like this. I like that. So let's leave it like that, and then finally, let's get just a spreadsheet. Maybe something that looks a little bit like this. I understand that yours has these kind of lines because it's more like a list, and that's probably actually a better idea if you ask me. Maybe we can do something more like that. If we go here and we do some radius, we make a few copies of this. This is a little bit too abstract. I think I would like to have a little bit of what you have here, which is a piece of paper. But I don't want to take a long time designing icons right now for you because we're not going to finish everything else we have to do. But let me see how this feels. Let me see just how this feels. I don't love it. Let me see. That's a little better. That's just a little better. This looks a little weird, to be honest, but let's see. But we get the idea, I think, kind of, we definitely need more work on that one. So let's make this smaller. And then here you have the year, right? So it's like, so this would be the year 13. Oh yeah, 2013, obviously. So let's put something like more Nirvana, like 92. Because this year can change, right? Or, right. Oh wow, that was weird. What happened there? 92. Okay, and so we have this here. We also have a little word that you're using. So you're actually saying this is your 1 to 100 list. Actually, I don't like Arial. Let's use Sego, because if I continue using Helvetica, then you're probably not going to be able to use it unless you have it there. Right. So this is all genres. Maybe we could just say genres. How do you pronounce this word in French? Genre. Right. That's the original word. Okay, so let's go to Sego, WP semi-bold, or even WP and bold. Could be. See, that's why I love Helvetica, because it definitely makes it look better, so much better. But if you can license Helvetica, definitely worth it. Okay, so we have our text elements here, and these are a little bit too big. The smallest you want to do in Windows Phone is around 15 or 16 points. So let's make it 17 to be a little bit generous. Also, the other thing that I don't fully love here, and this is something where we would eventually use our grid, would be to make things match. So, for example, this area over here, I don't like the fact that there is no connection there. So I would rather make this a little bit smaller and make it match. That's one of the things we always want to look for things to match. More like that. The other thing we could do here is we could use our color, the color of our application, which could be this one, or more like this one, perhaps, to apply it there. Oh, I have to change this text to Sego as well. Okay, so let's do that. Let's align all these elements vertically, and then they're a little bit of different size, so we have to make them all about the same size. This arrow. So one of the things that I notice here is that this arrow is kind of important because it allows us to basically refresh this whole thing. So maybe this arrow needs a very special treatment. Maybe it's something more like this. Okay, so now all of our texts down here, they're kind of ugly. Let's see how we can work them out. First of all, we're changing them to Sego. Let's move Bob Dylan out of here just for now. And the other thing we have here is a photo, right? So this photo is something where we could perhaps do something like this. So what if we take two of these elements to create a photo? So I would go like this. I would move it 10 pixels below, and then I would make it bigger. So it would be, if it's 130 multiplied by 2, that's 260, plus 10, that's 270. So 270, right? So this is one option that we could use. Now the problem that we're going to have with this one maybe is that we will only be able to show up to 3 images or 3 songs, and that's too little, right? It starts looking interesting because we have this kind of thing here, this kind of axis around here, which I'm sure you can immediately see. It's a little bit like this, and then this one, and I think that's very cool. But unfortunately, yes, this is not working for us. So we have a couple options. We're getting these images in a square format. I think the best option that we have here, unfortunately, is to go back to our smaller size for this one. But you will notice that I'm basically keeping all my distances the same to 10. It's always 10 points. So one thing that I really like that you did here is that the name of the song is bigger and white, and the name of the band is smaller and gray. I think that's a very cool idea. So let's respect what you have there. So we're gonna make the name of the song big and the name of the band a little bit smaller. Okay. So we'll take it like this, and then let's choose the artists, and let's make those smaller, maybe say 24, and let's make it a little bit darker gray, just the way you have it. Maybe even more, 444, 444. Oh, wait, there. I was changing the stroke color, not the fill color. So that's a little bit better. Okay. Let's align all these things to the left. And then let's make sure that everything has the same separation. So let's do 15 pixels. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a couple more. Oops. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, two, three, four, 5. Okay, so this is starting to look interesting. Now, these images over here will not be blank, right? They will have different colors. So let's make them temporarily a little bit darker gray. So that's more of the way, it gives us an idea of what we're doing there. The other thing we could do here is align these to the top. So you can see how I'm aligning these here to the top edge of this square. And we would do the same thing here. I might not be very precise right now, but that's fine. Wait, what am I doing here? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, so more or less it goes there. I'm just gonna do it quickly, but you get the idea here. So there, 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 and there. Okay, so now there is one thing I don't like, and maybe what would you say doesn't look good here? If you were to say something that doesn't look good here. It could be that. Also, the fact that this area over here, I don't know if you can see it, but it looks very cluttered, right? Like this area over here, because this is so close to these guys that it kind of sells the wrong idea. So what we can do is we can push these downwards a little bit more. And how much more? Well, we could use our 10 pixel multiplier. So one, that's 20, 30, 40, 50. That would be 50. That's a little bit better. I think we still need a little bit more. It's looking better. But do you know what other measure we could use? How big is this? This is 130. Half of 130 is 65, right? So what if we go for 65? One of the things you're seeing me do is I'm not just positioning things randomly. I'm trying to find a reason where to put these things, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 65. I think that works better. That works a little better. There are still a couple of things I don't fully necessarily love there, but that's all right. Maybe one of the other things like we could try eventually would be to do something like this. And sorry, I'm going to overlap all these screens here for you. But the good thing is you will have the video, so you'll be able to tell what's going on. So this will be more like this, right? And maybe one of the other things we could do is maybe these buttons are actually the dark ones. Maybe these are the dark buttons, and this is a little bit brighter. Even white, potentially. So this is another option. I don't know which one you like better. This one probably has more contrast. Kind of like it more. Oh, the other thing I don't like, about this is these text elements are too close to this. So you should have 1, 2, at least 2 of them maybe, perhaps even 3 to the right. I think that looks a little bit better. There are many other things you could try doing. For example, we could try, centering this over here so that this area right here becomes a square. It becomes a square right there. That's always what we want. And furthermore, if we wanted to push this even more, then let's see how this looks. What if we put this all the way here? Interesting. I'm not sure I love it, but it's interesting. So those are some ideas. One of the things we could potentially do with the titles of the songs would be to make them blue as well. What if we make them like that? So there is no one single way of going. Like there's definitely, design is all about like coming up with different ideas and then deciding which one works best for you, right? So yeah, so that's one idea. So now when you do something like this, I think it would be very, very similar. So if we wanted to activate a drop-down filter like this one here, then I think what you're doing is the right thing to do. We would just make this taller. So 130 multiplied by how much? By 4. 130 by 4. 520. So I move the point there, and I type down here, I type 520. Oops, what did I do? There. Okay. And here's where you could have your other filters over here. You know what I'm noticing? Maybe these texts are too thick now that I see them. Probably a little bit too thick. Maybe they would be nicer a little bit more like that. And then what you could do is you could have perhaps some separation here between buttons with a very simple pipeline, as we call it. So, something a little bit more like this. Oops. Oops. So hard to select that line. There. More or less. I think my height here is probably wrong. But yeah, maybe a little bit more like this. If you wanted to sell the idea that this is overlapping everything else, right? Then maybe one thing you could do would be maybe let's see what would happen if we do something like this. At 45 degrees, I don't know if I love this. Looks a little bit too dirty. It's always nicer to just preserve the shape, I think. No, something like that. What else do we have here? So this arrow should probably stay up here. I would say. I don't think it has to come down here. Oh, so I see what you're doing here. You're pushing all these songs down. Yeah. Yeah, see, so I think I would try to get rid of that, and instead of pushing the songs down, I would just try to sell the idea that this thing is falling on top of everything else. I think I would try to do that. I can see how that can be a little bit hard to sell visually. So what if we did something like this? To, I don't know, 70? I don't love it like this. I think maybe just like that. If you have a cool animation, a good and fun and interesting drop-down animation of this thing coming down here, I think it would work. Because then people will know it's falling on top of this and you can select. Okay. So what else? So all of this is very similar. Exactly. So here, for example, I think the only thing I would do here is I would increase the space in between text elements. So instead of making it like this, which is like 42 pixels down here, I would probably make it 60 or even 80, just giving more space in between these. And probably instead of making this black, I would just make it semi-bold. A little bit less heavy. Right now, I feel like it's a little bit too heavy. Same thing here. Of course, here in terms of the green, we would be using your blue, right? Who would you use? Oh, okay. Exactly. So yeah, I think we could get rid of the accent color and just use like your blue, your brand. Um, what else? Let's go down here. So you have your song. So here what I would do here is I would remove these columns. I would remove those. I leave one on just so that you remember that, but it's always good to just leave them apart. Now, also, I would say here, I would ask myself, what's the most important piece of text? Is it genre or is it post-rock? Is it 3.85 or average rating? And I would say that genre is less important than post-rock. Post-rock is more important. So I almost think that post-rock could be, we could use our color, our accent color, which is this one. Maybe we can do that in semi-bold. And then the genre is just to go WP, white, and small. I think I would go for something more like this. And then obviously the others, right? So average rating 3.86, etc., etc., etc. I think like that could look more interesting. These guys are good. Oh yeah, my brother was telling me that you're displaying this image on the background. It takes a little bit to load because it's a big image, but it definitely adds a very cool look and feel. Now, looking at this image, if I place this text over here, I don't think it's going to be that readable anymore, right? So if this is what you want to do, then potentially you keep this white, so that people can continue to read this in white. You know. Right, right. And that's a good idea, by the way. I think that could be a good idea. I wonder if there would be something you could do. How would it look like if you did only half of the screen like that, and the other one less? Of course, this looks very weird because all this text here is, I'm just killing it right now with my little exercise. But I don't know. It could be interesting. Maybe it's not a panel that goes all the way down. Maybe it's a panel that stays up here, and maybe this song, the album cover, and these two buttons, maybe they move over here. So something like this. I'm gonna do this in a very bad way right now, so don't pay a lot of attention. But it's kind of like putting it there. And so all of these on the right side is just a nice, clean photo, and then this thing on the left is all your information. And one of the things you've also noticed me doing is I usually don't go to arbitrary sizes or positioning. So I don't go like there or there. I go literally to 50% the size of the screen. So those 50%, 25%, kind of those round numbers are good. Everything else is really cool. I think that it's very cool that you're providing people the ability to go to different services. The only thing I would suggest here is hopefully you can get a hold of some higher resolution icons for Xbox Music, Nokia Music, YouTube, because these ones look a little bit pixeled, right? So that would be nice if you could get that. And maybe, also give them a little bit more breathing room. So if you have something like this, if you have something like this, I would probably give them about this amount of breathing room so that your icon fits in here. Just in here, right? Right now, this is a little bit too tight. It's a little bit too tight right there, or even here. A little bit too tight. What else do we have here? You have some other screens which are good, and these are basic. This is a website, right? Or this is yours? No, this is yours, right? Yeah, this is good. Right. Here, maybe the only thing I would do again is I would remove all these columns. Remove all those. I would probably make content providers bigger, and then database artists and track preview are fine. But this one I would make it bigger, definitely. Here's another one. But yeah, I think these are some interesting ideas here. We definitely need to work this out a little bit more. You know, maybe this logo here would look better if it was all the way to the corner. This kind of badge over here, or maybe we even do something like this, just like we were doing with the large tile. I don't know. That's another option. But here are a bunch of options, basically, for you to continue to play. All right. So yeah. So let me give you my my Twitter alias and then my email if you want to keep in touch. I'm sure that Nokia would love to see you incorporating some of these ideas. Or again, this is really just for your inspiration. At the end, it's all about up to you what you decide to implement. And yeah, so I hope this was kind of fun and useful. Yeah, perfect. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna receive an email from Nokia with a link to your video and a link to this file that you see me that we're using here, the file we just created, you and I together, and you're gonna have access to all of this. All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Take care. Bye.